Hey friend, welcome back to another episode of Ash to Dusk. My name is Ashley Morena and welcome to the podcast. So there are a lot of new faces here. We have nearly 6,000 people on our email list. We have hit over 7,000 plays on the podcast, and I honestly just didn't think it would go this long. I launched the podcast at the end of October, and I committed to doing 2 episodes a week every Sunday and Wednesday. And I honestly didn't know. I'm like, just do it for 8 weeks. Like, let's just see what happens. And we continue to attract more people. And I think that speaks a lot because you are going through very similar things that I am going through myself or I have gone through. And sometimes it just helps to know that you're not alone. That's the one thing that we have in common, which is just wanting other people to be successful and to lift each other up. I'm all here for it. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Speaking of the email list, if you're on my email, then you got a survey. And I had asked you to take this really short survey because I also announced in the email that I am launching a coaching course that is really designed to help anybody who is feeling stuck, who needs a little bit more clarity, you're exhausted, you want more, but you don't even know how to take the next step. And I've been there. I've been there, my friend. And so one of the things on my keynote tours that, I go out there and I'm talking mainly to school nutrition professionals. And I know that there's a lot of you here. And we talk about leadership and building strong, successful teams because when you have a strong team, then that's a ripple effect into your community. But here's the thing that we talk about in those keynotes. Having a strong team starts with you. Each individual on the team needs to feel a sense of purpose, belonging, healthy, not burned out. And we talk about those things in the keynotes. And I thought, you know what? I'm bringing it to the podcast, but more so, I'm going to go deeper into it with my coaching. So today's conversation actually, and I'm going to pull up my phone here. Today's conversation has to do with a lot of the responses I got on the survey. The survey was about, hey, I am launching this coaching experience for you. And I want to kind of know where you're at and how you're feeling right now, because that is going to help me finalize this experience. And I think it's going to be awesome. So we're going to dive into this. The number one thing that the response to the survey was is I feel exhausted. The next one is I feel disconnected. There was a tie for I know something needs to change, but I just don't know what. And then the other one was I overthink every decision and second guess myself on everything. And, it just had me thinking like, I sit here and talk a lot about building the life that you want to have, starting a business, setting goals. But I remember a time in my life where even though I wanted those things, it was so out of touch and out of reach because I was not right where I needed to be in my heart, in my mind. I was exhausted. And it really takes me back to the summer of 2016 when I started going through my divorce. And I shared about my divorce journey back in the earlier episodes of the podcast. So you can go back to that if you're going through that yourself right now. But I shared a little bit about, and I kind of want to talk about this. There was a moment in my life. Actually, I've had multiple moments, okay, but I think specifically about the time through divorce where I was so exhausted. I was learning a brand new job as a food service director. All three of my kids were ages 5 and under. So really little. And actually my youngest was 8 months old. So really little kids working a full-time job, trying to figure out how I was going to keep the lights on in my house. And I just remember thinking like, what am I doing? Like, what is happening right now? I can't even think about chasing after my dreams that I have because I'm literally just trying to pay the bills. I am just trying to take care of my babies. I am trying to manage the emotions of other grown adults who were trying to process our divorce. They could not process that. And because of that, I was feeling like I had to also own their emotions and own their reactions. And I can remember sitting in my house And I was just staring at four blank walls, literally, like nothing on the walls. My kids were with their dad at the time, and I remember just sitting there like, what's next? I can't even get off this couch. So I want to talk about that with you today because you may not be quite in that state, and you might be, right? But I actually think many of you who are following along right now, you look like you've got it all together. From the outside looking in, you're showing up, you're doing the job, you're running the kids around, you're taking care of the grandkids, like you're doing all of the things. You're not just sitting around. But you have days and you have moments where all of that gets so overwhelming that you can't get yourself off the couch. You can't get yourself out of bed. And you take about a day or two where you're just completely, utterly exhausted. And then you get back to it again and you go back to the grind and then you repeat the cycle. I've been there many of times. And so I want to talk about that today. And a part of this is going to be the coaching experience. um, you have to let things go. You cannot fix everything right now. That's what you want to do because you are a fixer. You want to help people. You want to take care of everything and everyone. You struggle to delegate because you want things to be done right. And I understand that because, hey, I can be one of those people sometimes, but you don't want to delegate and you think that because you are the woman in the house, and men, I know there's half of you watching are men, but because you are the man of the household, that somehow all the responsibilities fall on you. And even with work, okay, the number one thing that has helped me build a business successfully has been delegation to other people. Same thing in my house. I had to take away my kid's PC the other day, and he's almost 15 years old. So it was kind of weird because I'm like, man, we're at this age now where it's like, I don't want to have to be taking things away from you. But like I said to him, buddy, you're a member of this house. I can't be the one that's doing everything for you. You have to take initiative. You have to do the laundry. You need to put the dishes away. And I want you to do these things without me asking you. But guess what? When they do, your life gets a little bit easier. So I don't want to go down the rabbit hole with that with my kid right now, but what I'm saying to you is that you are trying to manage too much. And sometimes we put more on ourselves than we need to. That's just the truth. And we don't always want to like come to terms with that. So anytime I've been in situations like going through my divorce, another scenario would be I was building my business and I first started with consulting as a food service director. So I basically traded in my salary job as a food service director and I became a food service director for three different school districts. And because again, I was living in a scarcity mindset. Now, I talked about this on a different episode, and we talk about the scarcity mindset, right? Sometimes you're so afraid that if you don't say yes to something, then you're never going to have the opportunity again, or you're not going to have enough money. And so I said yes to these three jobs on top of then trying to build an app for school nutrition. And I ended up being way over my head financially. Like I didn't have enough money. I went into a business partnership when I probably wasn't really ready for that or knew how to enter into that appropriately. And so I was saying yes to all of these different things because I needed to keep the lights on. And I found myself so exhausted because I committed to way too much. And I want to say something to you. I think when you do break commitments, you're absolutely shredding a little piece of you, your inner self, that you're breaking a promise and it doesn't feel good, right? Like it doesn't feel good. And you don't want to be in the habit of breaking commitments or breaking promises. But I'm going to say this because there's always nuances to things. Sometimes you have to do it for your own health and sanity. You are not good to anyone if you're in the grave. And I know that that is deep. You're not good to anyone if you end up into a mental hospital because you have completely had a breakdown. You're not good to anyone if you can't get off the couch because you are so full of anxiety and depression. sometimes we do have to let go of things that we have committed ourselves to, because we know without doing that, we are never going to get out of the situation that we're in. So I want to caution you by saying you might need to get out of something that you're in. You know it deep down. You don't know how to do it, and you don't want to disappoint someone. And I get it because I've been there. But I will then also say to you, once you make the decision to get out of the commitment, then what's most important is not making those same decisions that put you back into the same scenario that you were just getting yourself out of. And you have tough conversations. There's no easy way around it. When I was reading these responses, some are multiple choice, and then some of you really went in depth into like what you're going through right now. I don't want to sugarcoat this for you. I don't want to tell you like there's some easy fix. There's not. From going through a divorce, from having multiple businesses and just running myself into the ground, I can tell you with a shadow of a doubt, like there is no easy way to get to the other side except through it. There's no going around it. You just have to go through the storm to get to the other side. But I don't want that to be pressure on you, and I don't want that to scare you. I want that to be something that is inspiring to you to say, I know there is the other side to this. I know there's brightness and goodness on the other side of the storm. But the only way I'm going to see that is getting through the storm. And, I look at these responses, and what would worry you if nothing changed over the next 6 months? And think about that. If nothing changed over the next 6 months, what would worry you the most? And a lot of these responses were my mental health. I feel pulled in every direction. Everyone wants something from me, but no one wants to give back. Gosh, I think a lot of us feel like that. And that is such a real, honest answer. There's another one that says, where do I find the motivation to continue and to feed my team of staff? Meaning, if I had to assume this person is saying, how do I keep going? Like, I'm trying to keep myself motivated and going right now, but then how am I also supposed to do that for my staff? Because when you're in a leadership role, your team is counting on you, right? So even when, like myself, going through the divorce, I still had to show up. I still had to give to my team. And it's just such a real thing. And here's the one thing that I can say to you. It is time to start investing in yourself. We had just released a wellness edit that was talking about investing in your long-term health. Investment, we think about, investing in money, but you have to be willing to invest in yourself for anything to get better. I'm doing coaching, but I get coached all the time. I told you I'm in therapy. That is my coaching. I take coaching classes often. I am constantly putting myself in situations where I'm investing myself. But there was a time where I didn't have the money. There was the time I couldn't put food on the table. And the investment started with reading books, listening to a podcast, anything that was free. That's actually where I found my love for podcasts, because I didn't have money to do anything else. And part of why I love this is that I'm still going to be able to give you a lot of information and share my truth, share my story with you, and also be a part of this community all for free. You don't have to pay for any of this, and we get to be together. But I am creating something that you can take a deeper dive into that is another investment into your personal growth journey. Doesn't mean you have to do that, but you need to just surround yourself with things that are starting to fill you up. And also not with people or things that are just telling you what you want to hear. And my friend, if you're using AI, ChatGPT will tell you what you want to hear. So tread lightly with that, okay? It's a great resource and a great tool, but there is something to be said about receiving information that doesn't always feel the greatest, but it's what you really need. Do you ever feel like that? Like someone speaks to you and it's like, ooh, you felt that deep into your core, and maybe you didn't necessarily feel great, but you know that that's what you needed. Yeah. Surround yourself with those things and find yourself other podcasts as well. And obviously, this one I hope is very helpful to you in getting on my email list, because I send you weekly letters every single week of encouragement and things that I'm doing that have worked, and hopefully would work for you too. So, yeah, today's episode was a little bit shorter, and I just was going through these responses and I thought, you know what, this would be a great topic to talk about, which is you don't need to fix everything right now. And I think that that's what you feel like. I feel like you have to show up for everybody else. You need to manage other people's emotions. No, you don't. You do not have to do that, my friend. Those are their emotions and you just are responsible for your own. I was talking to someone the other day and I've used this analogy, is not mine. I've heard of it out in the personal growth space, but your only job is to be a thermostat. You get to set the tone for your day and what happens. Don't be the thermometer that goes high and low based off of the temperature. Don't do that. Be the thermostat. And you don't need to fix everything right now. Before we go, one of the things I wanted to share with you was this other question I had asked. And it was, which statement feels most true for you? And we went through and it was different things like, I want support, but I don't want to feel pushed. And that's a real feeling because everything's so overwhelming right now. So of course you don't want to be pushed. And I get that. I want clarity, but I'm afraid of making the wrong move. And, you know, someone said this to me recently, actually somebody on my team, because I'm not going to lie, I've been pretty nervous about putting out this coaching experience. I have I've only ever sold, and you're talking about sold in the school nutrition space. So consulting, menu development services, professional development. I've only ever sold to school nutrition programs. And this will be the first time that I sell something outside of that. And I am nervous. I feel a little overwhelmed at times. Like it's scary, right? And so that response of feeling like I'm afraid to make the wrong move. I have felt that so much lately. Am I making the right move here? Am I making the right decision by stepping out of my comfort zone and doing this? So, for those of you who mark that, I feel you. Now, this was the one that I get. It was, I feel responsible for everyone else and I struggle to prioritize myself. And again, it's because you keep saying yes and you keep feeling like you have to fix everything and everyone. It really is a mindset that you have to practice and you have to get out of it. And you have to say, I can't be that person. I can't be the fixer. I can be a resource of strength, but I can't be the one that's going around fixing everything. It's not your job to do that. So, these were so good. And I wanted to share some of the survey with you and to just say that I'm excited to launch this coaching experience for you and more information to come. We are so close, trying to work on not letting it have to be perfect and let it just be. So, all right, my friend, until I see you next time, keep your light burning from ash to dusk.